Generally, I try to stay out of the craziness on Facebook, but I feel this is something I need to speak out about because I've seen a lot of upsetting posts come through my feed. So for my Alabama peeps, I'm hopefully dressed appropriately that you will listen to me. First of all, free speech means the government is not going to arrest you because they don't agree with your opinion. It does not mean that you have a right to a television show or to keep a job because you said something. You can call your boss a big fat booger eater and he can fire you because he didn't like what you said. Now, you have a right to say whatever you want to say, but there are consequences to what you say. In fact, speaking of, there are people on this list who support what is being said by this person through Duck Dynasty, who ask me at the class reunion, how did you know you're homosexual? And that's very interesting to me coming from a classmate because we pretty much went from kindergarten through high school, and you guys pointed it out to me way before I even knew what homosexual was. You can't tell me that you don't know someone or have said yourself or overheard someone saying that I was either a sissy or so many other words that are much worse than that. Things that I was called from kindergarten on. So I didn't know what these things were. This was being pointed out to me that I was effeminate and I was slightly different than the other guys in class. We know this is a fact. I didn't understand what it meant, but this was pointed out to me before I even knew what it was. Now, are you asking me when I knew what it was? 5th grade. When 5th grade, when I had my first crush on a boy who transferred in, didn't stay very long, and transferred out. But I remember feeling, it was a crush, plain and simple, 5th grade. And then later, my next big crush in middle school was also a guy who, oh my god, I was so in love with him. I would take his discarded homework out of the garbage can and hoard it at my house because it was the closest I was ever going to get to him, because there's no way I could have told that person how I felt. In fact, there's no way I could have told anyone how I felt, because I was being told that people who are homosexual will burn in a lake of fire for all of eternity because they're condemned by God to do so. This is what I was taught from the school to the church. You may not know this, but I was extremely devout during that time. We went to church every Sunday night, every Wednesday, and I sang at least once Saturday night, and probably more, for years and years and years at all different churches. So this was something I wholeheartedly believed as well, but what they told me was that I would not inherit the kingdom of God because I was a sissy. That's devastating. 100% devastating. So I was way too ashamed and way too fearful to tell anyone how I felt or what was going on in my own head regarding who I was. There was no question about who I was. I knew exactly. That's just the way it was. But to be told God hates you because of that. I can remember just wanting to die, just wanting to be dead. Because what difference does it make? God hates me. And for years and years, every night, I would pray to God, please, God, please take this affliction away from me, please. Don't let me be gay, please, God. For years and years and years, every night, I would pray myself to sleep, crying, please. And I thought I'd never get an answer. But one day my answer finally came. God said to me, why are you asking me to change you from the way I made you? Do you think I made a mistake? Do you think I was wrong to make you who and what you are? I don't make mistakes. I made you exactly who and what you are with purpose. I've given you a gift. I'm giving you something that not everybody gets. You now have the power to enlighten others. So I lost my fear. I lost my... Well, I was no longer ashamed. You're not ashamed of a gift that's been given you by God. You're proud. Proud of the gift that's been given you by God. And for the last 20 years, I've spent my life as a gender illusionist, teaching others about things they did not know. I've been so blessed. So blessed. Simply for being proud. Now, this thing comes along where this person who a lot of you really like, I understand, says some things that a lot of you obviously believe is true, which I believed for a long time as well to be true. But when your life is compared with bestiality, and when you're told that you're not going to inherit the kingdom of God simply because of who and what you are, there's consequences to saying those things. There are kids, all I can think about is the poor kids who are just like me, who are ashamed and fearful, taught to be that way because of these views, taught to be that way from the church, taught to be that way from, in my case, my mother, who told me straight out, well, if you don't want them to treat you that way, then don't act that way. I'm not acting, I'm simply being the way God made me. So when I hear these things and I see these things, and I see you, I don't want to name names, but I could say several right now. People who were educators, people who honestly should know better. I fear for those children who might not be as strong as I was. I fear for those children who feel less of a person because of the views that you're espousing, because of the views that to this day you are upholding. I'm not asking you to change your religion. I'm not asking you to change the core of your beliefs. There are plenty of Christian organizations who happily and openly accept homosexuals, LGBT communities such as myself. And the first one you should check out is the Metropolitan Community Church. They're probably the largest, but if you can't go quite that far, there are actually Baptist denominations who do not spread hate regarding homosexuals. The Association of Welcoming and Affirming Baptists are committed to full inclusion. So I sincerely ask you to do a little research and learn about these things. And please reconsider your approval and support of the evil, ridiculous things that have been said. Now, if you believe those things, I feel for you. Because, honey, there's gonna be queers in heaven. And when you get there and there's queers everywhere, you can say I told you so. That's all I gotta say. And thank you for listening. And this is all about hopefully having a job as a bearded woman. Swear to God, believe it or not. So, think about who you're hurting. And consider loving and just love. Spread love.